Hey guys, it's me, Rich. Now, you probably haven't heard a campaign speech this wild in years. New York's brand new socialist mayor, Zohran Mamdani, stood up about a week ago today and delivered what sounded like a Lenin tribute concert, minus the marching band. He promised free buses, government-run grocery stores, expanded welfare, and yes, taxpayer-funded trans medical treatments for kids. But what you'll soon find out is that none of this fantasy can survive contact with math. Because New York's budget laws don't care how passionate your ideology is. It cares about numbers, and those numbers are bleeding red ink already. You see, about 50 years ago, 1975, before the Democrats went totally off the rails, toys in the attic, back guano, radical left crazy, they created a law that would block someone just like Zohran Mamdani. Talk about fate, right? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to RPW Media, where facts hurt feelings, and we're not sorry one iota. Look, if you like our videos and you haven't done so already, you should become a subscriber to the channel. You can hit the notification bell and smack that like button because it helps get our message out to more people, and you'll be notified every time we put out a new video. And remember, Friday night, 6 o'clock Eastern, we go live. Come hang out with us. All right. So the New York Post's Charles Gasparino did a piece with the headline, Mayor-elect Mamdani reeks of Lenin, but New York City's wise safeguard against Marxism stands in his way. And I'm going to talk about what I learned in this article. So here we are, a crowd cheering like it's 1917 Moscow, right? Mamdani raises his fist, beams at the crowd, and talks about soaking the rich. Yeah, okay. He even tossed a jab at President Trump, claiming the president was watching from D.C. and daring him to turn up the volume. Cute line. Except what Mamdani's really turning up is the city's deficit, because instead of a revolution, he's walking straight into a budget minefield. The irony? Lawmakers 50 years ago saw this exact moment coming, and they built a legal cage just for it. It's called the Financial Emergency Act of 1975. Governor Hugh Carey and banker Felix Rohatyn created it after New York nearly went bankrupt. Back then, the city was broke, garbage was piled in the streets, cops were laid off, and Wall Street wouldn't lend a dime. The Democrats were too risky. President Gerald Ford told the city to fix itself. The infamous headline read, "Drop dead." So Carey and Rohatyn built guardrails, no deficit spending, bondholders get paid first, and if the mayor of the city actually screws everything up, the state takes control. Philly had something similar because of the damage that Wilson Goode did to that city, except for Philly, it was a board that made all financial decisions for spending. So in New York, that's the law. I mean, it still is. And Mamdani's about to find out that laws don't bend for socialism. That's what gets me. Islamic fundamentalists, the terrorists, tried to overtake a community or society by spreading Islam to the people. It absolutely didn't work. So they found another way. They fool people into accepting them and eventually voting for them into power with socialism. Mamdani's own mother said of her son, "We are not people of the West." She described him as not an American at all. That makes you wonder, doesn't it? His own mother bragged that he wasn't an American, and we have to assume that she means that he's not a person who adheres to the Western way of life. So what is Mamdani doing running for office in New York City? Some people think that he's an infiltrator, that he's one of the people who's sweet talks Americans into believing that they want to live in peaceful harmony with Islam in the West. And anyone who heard this acceptance speech got a chill and realizes that he was not the same person who smiled at everyone during the campaign. Now, during his victory speech, though, he rolled out the dream board, free buses, government grocery stores, even more welfare, healthcare for everyone, and yes, procedures for minors. Every sentence started loudly with free and ended very quietly with, "You're going to pay for it." Socialism always sounds poetic until the bill arrives. New Yorkers already pay some of the highest taxes in America because of progressivism. They're leaving in droves. Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, anywhere their paycheck survives the week, they're heading there. But Mamdani, he thinks that he can reverse that with even more government. Yeah, that'll work. It's worked so well in the past, right? Last guy who tried that left the city bankrupt. So here's the truth, okay? New York runs a $119 billion budget. The debt is nearly the same number. Under the 1975 law, you can't finish the year in the red. If you do, Governor Hochul's board steps in and takes the wheel. Translation, the mayor loses his toys overnight. Hochul's already said she won't raise taxes. She knows it'll close out the 1% who fund the entire operation. They'll take off. But Mamdani, he's surrounded by progressives who think money grows on activism. The board isn't full of accountants anymore. It's full of believers. And belief doesn't balance books. That's the problem with these people. If the rich keep leaving and banks start trimming jobs, JP Morgan shifts another 1,000 positions down to Texas, that's when the spiral begins, guys. Less revenue, higher taxes, fewer taxpayers, rinse and repeat. It's fiscal gravity. You can ignore it, but you can't escape it. And the city's already halfway down that slope. Even the New York Stock Exchange is building a backup in Dallas. They can smell the smoke before the fire. So the big Marxist moment, it won't last. Either Mamdani obeys the law or Hochul's control board runs the city for him. That's it. There's nothing else. Now, the sad truth is that if anyone had mentioned this during the campaign, maybe some of those freeloading, indoctrinated college voters and educated female communists would have thought twice about wasting their time voting for a guy whose campaign promises were really nothing more than an academic exercise. He's not going to be able to do what he promised he's going to do. At least not all of it. Oh, he'll do some things that screw the city up worse than it has already become under normal democratic, dim-witted, half-baked, incompetent, out-to-lunch business policies. And if the whole thing collapses, well, maybe he calls Donald Trump for a bailout, right? Like the rest of them. Yeah, good luck with that. You take jabs at the man, then you're going to beg him for help, right? Not going to work. Because the laws of economics are undefeated. Every socialist experiment ends the same way. Loud promises, empty shelves, and taxpayers holding the bill. New York doesn't need another dreamer preaching utopia. It needs grown-ups who understand that prosperity comes from freedom, not control. The bright side? America's watching. And maybe, just maybe, New York's next generation will remember that math matters more than slogans. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.